We're back. Second season of G Live loading up. So let's see here. Man, it's what's up, Steve? What's up, Michael? Let's see if I can. There you go. So welcome. The second season of G Live loading. Just out of the blue. No heads up. No build up. We're just coming. G Live, for those that don't know, is something that we came up with. It's just to showcase exceptional men who are friends of mine, who are brothers of mine from different walks of life, different industries, different skill sets, so forth, and men who I've met personally. And so we have our brother Jose Rodriguez, who's going to be joining us here soon enough, and he's had amazing success in real estate. I won't get too much into it, but as a realtor, as a investor, developer, so he's just amazing. I see a lot of guys coming in. What's up, G's? Thanks for joining. And so G Live it's just something that we do to just give back and share. There's a lot of guys that I know, exceptional men who have a lot of value to share. So we're going to do that, and hopefully it could be of help to someone. And then that's any bit that we can do to help out, to help someone, to teach them something, to share some insights. I learn too. I don't know everything. So and here we go. I see Jose's in here, so we can get started right away. What's up, brother?
Hey, bro, what's going on, man? Good to
Good,
see you.
man.
How you been?
Good. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. So hey, again, I'll give a quick intro here. This is Jose Rodriguez, my brother, who I've had the pleasure of knowing now for several years. Just an amazing young man. Tremendous success for you, brother. Just everything that you've accomplished. We're in similar industries. In real estate, you've done, as I was saying at the open, you've done a lot of things, and you just every time I see you, just killing it. Just building those receipts. So I have it pinned there. We're going to talk a little bit about you. Well, you're going to talk a little bit about mindset success, and I'll let you go ahead and intro yourself a little bit, share a little bit about yourself with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, brother, thank you for hosting this on Instagram and bringing this to the audience. I think that there's going to be a lot of value in everything that we're going to share. And even if you're not in real estate, the mindset translates to everything else. So this is why I wanted to mainly speak about this, because I see it as a huge beneficial factor to anybody that's in business or anything else or any kind of endeavor that they're looking to pursue the highest degree. So my name's Jose Rodriguez. I've been in real estate for 5 years, college dropout. Just hit the ground running. Was working as a land surveyor for about a year and a half before I became a full-time real estate agent. I decided to just burn all the ships and said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go all in. And shortly after that, I did my first flip, made about like 10 grand. We barely made some money.
10 grand is 10 grand though. But let me ask you real quick, because you said you dropped out of college. What was it? Why did you decide to do that?
That's a good question, man. I mean, even in high school, like I wasn't necessarily so interested in school, really. Like I would skip a lot of classes to go to lunch and just play cards with kids and just gamble. Like my mind was always just on making more money, seeing what I can do to become you know, more resourceful. And I was just not interested in just sitting in class and paying attention to somebody talking to me about something I just wasn't interested in. So when college came around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and apply myself, because my grades weren't that good in high school, but I passed, obviously. So in college, I was like, you know what? Let me actually apply myself to see if I could get good at this. And I did apply myself, and I think my GPA was like a 3.8 before I decided to drop out and
You
leave.
just bounced.
Yeah,
You were studying in New York?
yeah. I went to a community college over here in New York, and you know, when I was there, I wanted to test myself, because, and that's something that I was able to prove, that you don't have to be, you know, a genius to be able to have, you know, 4.0 or 3.8 and get A's on your GPA. All you have to do is just commit to it, and I just wasn't committed to it in high school. But when I committed to it in college, I was like, well, you know what? I know I can do well in school, but why am I going to bust my ass to get a degree for something that I don't even want to do? So
what were you thinking about studying?
I was studying computer science.
Okay.
And my whole plan at the time was, you know what? Get a degree. When I graduate, I get a maybe $80,000 a year, $60,000 a year salary, you know, starting as a computer science, you know, degree. And then from there, possibly utilize some of that money to invest in real estate. So instead, I was like, you know what, man? I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time here. I'm young still. Let me utilize my time and energy to put it towards studying to getting my real estate license, become an agent, and do the thing that I want to do now versus waiting another 4 years to get started.
What was it about real estate? Why real estate?
Man, I took a lot of business classes in high school as well. And I remember, well, there was a couple things. I remember one of my teachers from the business classes that I was taking, I asked him, like, are you a millionaire? Because he was always talking about, you know, stocks. He was the guy that introduced
you were that kid. You just came on and asked him, hey, listen, man, I need somebody with receipts. I'm gonna learn from you. I need to see the receipts.
Yeah, because he was talking business, he was talking this, he was talking that, but he kept talking about real estate. And I asked him, you know, like, you know, are you a millionaire? Like, what's going on? And he said, yeah, you know, based on the assets that I own, it turns out, you know, that he was a millionaire. And, you know, one of the things that he was talking about a lot was real estate. So real estate captivated my attention. But even after that, I noticed that my oldest brother, he was also in real estate. So he bought his 2-family house, I think, when I was just graduating high school. And that kind of made me want to be a little bit more curious, a little bit more interested in the real estate field, which is exactly, you know, who I would look up to as a mentor in the very beginning. I would ask him a lot of questions, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, bro, listen, what do I have to do to buy my first property? I know that this is the way, like, you know, teach me something. He was like, listen, between you and Kevin, which is my other brother, if you guys save up, yeah. If you guys save up 10 grand each, we'll get you in your first property with an FHA. And that's exactly what I was doing. So as I dropped out, and for the next year to year and a half, all I was doing was just focusing on learning as much as possible in real estate and making as much money so that I can go ahead and put my funds to another real estate asset that, you know, my first real estate asset that I was going to buy. So that's the story on how I initiated and got started in real estate.
So, I mean, so obviously just that alone, just going back to our topic, to leave school, which, and there's nothing wrong with getting an education. I'm college educated, but you know, there are other people that are not, and that's fine. You know, obviously you've done very well for yourself. Just to do that, to drop college and now say, and in real estate, it's eat what you kill, right? So you're starting as an agent, or if you start as a wholesaler, whatever, an investor, there's no steady income. It's eat what you kill. So just that alone takes a tremendously strong mindset, because talk a little bit about that. Like, what was it? What helped you be able to do that and transition, right? So that we can, you know what I mean? Because that's really interesting, because not everyone's going to do that. Not everyone has it in them.
Yeah, I love that you asked that, bro. And let me just go ahead and quickly share with you guys a little bit more of my background, because that's going to help answer that question. I was born in the Dominican Republic. We didn't have anything, lived in a fucking 400 square feet shack, right, with with my mother, who was mainly there. My father was here in New York doing what he had to do to help his family come here. And we were very humble, very humble beginnings, didn't have much, didn't have an option. It was cold water all the time. And, I just, when I came here, it was literally just building from the ground up. I saw how hardworking my father was. And, I understood that there was certain people that had more money than others. I saw the way that we lived. I kind of heard the little comments that my parents would make. Oh, make sure you turn off all the lights, the electric bill's coming. So all these little things that
I know about that
they would complain about. And I get it, because obviously, they're working, they're on a budget. They have to do what they have to do to be able to survive. But as a kid, I didn't understand why maybe some kids, their parents would give them money to bring stuff to school, to bring lunch to school. And, it was hard to get $2 to $3 off of my parents, but they did what they could to be able to help me out in that way as a kid. But I knew that there was some kids that just were better off, in regards to finances. But I came from a good family. And as I grew older, I was not around the best people, the best circle in regards to the neighborhood that I lived in, right? It was a very bad neighborhood, drug dealers and whatnot. And I eventually, had certain friends that, I got pulled into that circle, and I was watching what everybody else was doing, right? And I started selling weed when I was about 16. And I was just around the bad crowd. But it was all about hustling. It was all about money. But I started getting weird thoughts. And that's when I started to feel like, okay, like I'm going down the wrong path. And that was something happened, right, where certain people were trying to, rob us and take what we had. And it got physical, right? And my thoughts started to take me to like, oh, Jose, you got to be careful now. Maybe you should buy a gun. Maybe you should start, getting more, be more protective, because anything could happen. And, as I started having these thoughts, I was perspicacious enough to be able to see where the next couple of moves were going to lead me, because in that life is either you're dead or in jail. There's no other way around it, so all for what, right? So I got to a point where, because I was doing that for about maybe 6 months, 6 to 8 months. And that was, again, when I was a little bit older, that I got pulled into that lifestyle just because of the environment, right? It wasn't because of my parents. I love my parents. They're great people. Had nothing to do with them. It was just the environment, So fast forward, I remember when I was like, okay, like this is not going the right way, So just from everything that I shared now, I've had a pretty rough life growing up. It wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, and I knew that there was always people out there that were making millions of dollars, and I was doing my best to figure it out. Even while I was involved in this lifestyle, the people that I was around, they weren't necessarily bad people. They were just doing what they had in front of them to try to make it out, right? And we always had conversations about like certain things that we could do to maybe make more money. I even got into a multi-level marketing business, right? Selling services.
Yeah.
So we always try to do and think outside of the box,
But
to be able to make it out. And I always felt like I was different because of that, because I didn't realize, anybody else that, that was from my area thinking about that. They were just thinking about, oh, what can I do right now to make a quick buck? And a lot of it was illegal. So it was just like, you know what?
Yeah. So if I made a couple of things that stand out for me from what you said just now is, what stood out to me is that even at that young age, you had a vision for yourself. So maybe you were doing what you were doing at that point, you were hustling, but you had a vision for yourself. You had leadership ability within you, and you were also, we talk about the chessboard, right? You were looking a few moves down on the chessboard, seeing, okay, where could I be 2, 3, 4 moves down? You know what I mean? So, and you were looking to make a better play for yourself. So that stands out, right? Because some people, as we know, some people get caught up in something. Hey, this is what I do. Nah, this is what I do, and they get caught up in it. So that's just my observation. You can go keep going.
Yeah. And I want to go ahead and point something out about this too. Like I remember I was working at a job as a server. I started work very early too, even before I was doing that. I was working at McDonald's when I was 14. So, you know, as soon as I could get working papers, I wanted to work because I wanted to make money. And probably it was the deficit of not having money growing up that led me to want to make more of it, because I knew that it was always a fucking problem, right? Like, besides that, everything was great, you know, loving family, everything's good. But then when it came down to money, I felt like everybody had problems with money. Like, and the problems with money ended up spreading to everything else, you know? Like, it ended up turning personal. People got mad at each other. So it was always about the fucking money. And that's why, for me, like, at a very early age, I saw that money was important. So fast forward, when I believe I was around the same age. It was right before this happened, but I was a waiter at Dave & Buster's. And I was telling you how I had this multi-level marketing company that I joined, and it was mainly sales.
Right now, you're 16 at this point?
Yeah, I'm around that age. I'm 16. Yeah, I'm 16, early 16. I'm a server at Dave & Buster's. And then I remember there was an opportunity to go to North Carolina, right? Because they had like this regional event and all these people were supposed to be there. And I was 16.
Dave & Buster's?
No, not Dave & Buster's, the multi-level marketing company that I worked for.
Like an industry event, a company. Got it.
Yeah,
got it.
And I had paid $500 to join, you know, that business. You know, they sold me on it, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, they have this event in North Carolina. One of my friends, so there was 4 of us, one of my friends borrowed his uncle's van, and it was just, you know, 4 16-year-olds just fucking driving 10 hours to fucking North Carolina. And, you know, we had the vision. We knew we wanted to do something bigger. We thought that this was the way, like, yo, these guys are making millions of dollars selling these services. And this is the difference. This is what I want to highlight with this story about Dave & Buster's and going to North Carolina. I remember having the conversation with my boss at the time about I needed to take that Saturday off because I was gonna go to that, you know, convention. And he told me no. And I was like, okay, well, listen, I was just trying to be polite, but I'm gonna go anyways. And he was like, oh, well, if you don't come, if you don't show up to work, then you know you're fired. And I was like, listen, you could do whatever you want, but I'm going. Like that was it. So I went, because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, how many other employees here work here and take off a Saturday for something that's completely not even important, just to chill, right? Just to hang out, just because they don't feel like going to work. And then you're sitting across a young individual who you could probably see that he's thinking about making moves, positive moves to his life, and you're telling him, no, you don't care about me, bro. You don't give a fuck about me. You just want me to be a slave for you.
Because everybody else is out taking off to party and bullshit, and he wanted you to be there, you know. But I hear you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I was like, listen.
You want it better.
So I went anyways, and when I came back, you know, he was like, listen, like, you know, we can't have you set an example for everybody else. I was like, I don't care, bro. I'm out of here. And that was it. And I left that job. And I forgot where I ended up working after that. But that's when I was going around. That's when I was close to graduating, I believe. And I eventually ended up, you know, working with my brother as a land surveyor when I turned 18. So there was a lot of things, and one of the things that I can mention even about that story is just the willingness to say no and the willingness to stick to your plan and to stick to the mission, right? There's a lot of people that are going to try to, you know, tempt you and try to punish you for doing the things that you have to do to get ahead in life. And you have to be brave enough to be able to say, no, this is what I'm doing, and stick to it. Because even when I got my real estate license, there was certain people that were like, yo, Jose, I don't know if you should do that. There's an 87% failure rate the first 2 years. Not a lot of people make money, like, you know.
Right.
But that, to me, the difference between mindset is that he was looking at the 87% of people that didn't make it. I was looking at the 13% people that did make it, and I was like, great. So it actually works. Like, right. I just need one person to demonstrate a success, or that even could be me. But knowing that there's actually people that are making over 6 figures. At the time, being 18, I was like, man, what else am I gonna do? Like, this is what I want. I know if I get good at this, you know, I'm going to invest in real estate anyways. Like, might as well just do this.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to go to college, bro. So I knew it wasn't in me to just follow, you know, that role of like, just go to college for 4 years, get a job, get a 9 to 5, you know, get married, buy a house, retire at 65. Like that it just wasn't what I wanted. Right. You know, it wasn't what I wanted. And that seemed like it was not for everybody. Some people graduate, you know, college, they get a degree and they're very successful in life. Good for them. But I'm saying the majority of the average people, they fall into society's schedule, into society's calendar. Right. And I wanted to play by my own rules. And that's
so two things right there that stood out from what you said. And again, those that have joined us, thank you. Thank you for joining the discussion. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll get to them. Jose is just an impressive young man, you know, just really doing amazing things in different realms of real estate. But a couple of things that stand out from what you just shared, Jose: conviction, right? The belief, right, in yourself, but also in having a plan, because, you know, some people will jump around and maybe do different things, so forth. So you had the conviction, right? And then and the spin, right? Like the whole, hey, is the glass half full or half empty, right? So somebody said, you know, yeah, there is a high probability of real estate agents that don't make it, that burn out, whatever. You weren't focusing on the majority. You were focusing on the small minority, the small number that do make it, and you did. Right? So just sticking to a plan, having a plan, sticking to it, and having that conviction. So that's really important, and that's mindset.
Yeah, and listen, it was hard. However, I was committed and I was dedicated. A lot of the times, you just have to be dedicated and you have to be committed to that plan and to that goal to be able to make it. A lot of people don't make it in the industry. 87%, you know, now it's probably higher, but the 87% of the people that don't make it in the real estate industry is because they don't believe in themselves and they're not willing to go all in. So I explained to you how I was working with my brother as a land surveyor, and I got my license March 2018. That's when I got my real estate license, and I went full-time August 2018. Yeah, I went full-time August 2018. And the reason I went full-time August 2018 was because I felt like I was getting comfortable with the paychecks that I was receiving from the other job. It didn't provide the accountability that I needed, you know, for me to be able to take it maybe more serious. And that's why I decided, you know what, in August, you know, regardless of what it is, I'm going to go ahead and go full-time. August 1st, 2018, that's when I went full-time in real estate. And, you know, that was like me just putting my back against the wall and saying, this is going to work no matter what. And I feel like if people have that kind of mindset, not just with their business, but also even with their relationships, right? With everything that they do, even with going to the gym, with anything, if they have that mindset of like, okay, this is what I want to do, regardless of the complexity level, that's irrelevant, because if this is what I want, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get it, easy or hard, it's irrelevant. So that's how I thought of it. A lot of people said, yo, Jose, don't you think that people are going to not take you serious because you're so young and this and that? It's like, actually, no. I think that people will take me even more serious and support me because they'll see a young man doing his best to make a dream out of himself and actually see him taking it serious. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of people were looking at me and seeing themselves when they were young and saying, wow, I wish I was doing what you were doing when I was your age. Yeah. I want my kids to hang out with you. Like, they were talking to me about all these different things, and that was the lens that I was given. And you just have to have that mindset of, listen, I'm either gonna make it or not. Right. What did I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like, I was already in a position that I didn't like, so I might as well do everything that I have to do to be in a position that I want. You know, that's what it comes down to.
Right. Those are great points. Those are great points. And, you know, somebody said, I see Neil is on here, right? He said, burn the boats. Carol, it's all in your head. The age shit. It's true. It's, you know, valid comment. So, yeah. So tell us about that first year in real estate. How did it go? How did it, what kind of results did you get?
Yeah, so I remember getting my license, and then every Thursday, I was with Keller Williams at the time, and every Thursday, we would meet up at the office in the morning. I think it was called something Power Hour. I think it was called like Power Hour or
Yeah, the
something along
team
those
meeting.
lines.
Get everybody ready for the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was mainly calls. It was just mainly cold calls, and there was two. Shout out to Alyssa and John if you guys are listening. There was two guys, guy and girl, that were always there, and they were like always making calls. So I like that they were always there because I kind of felt like it was us three and everybody else was just kind of slacking. So I showed up every Thursday because at the time I would take off Thursdays from my job just to make it to Power Hour, which they did every Thursday. So I would go every Thursday morning. I would get there at about 8 o'clock, and I would role play. I would role play with John. I would role play with Alyssa, and then we would start making calls around 9:30. And one of the things that I recall,
calling sellers,
cold calling sellers. We would cold call, houses that came off the market. We would cold call for sale by owners, just sales. Getting on the phones, seeing if we could get appointments. And what I recall is that, again, my first day on Thursday, all I was thinking was, okay, I'm going to practice. I don't even know the script too well, but I'm going to get on the phones. So once 9 o'clock hit, I was dialing. And I was calling. I looked at some YouTube videos before. I had a coach at the time, and I was looking at some of the stuff that he did, and I did my best to, put on a show, put on a performance, and see if I could, set some appointments. Obviously, I got destroyed my first day, but what I noticed, John pulled me to the side, and I think it was John, or it was somebody. I think it was John, but he pulled me to the side, and he was like, "Listen, Jose, you see, most of these people, they've been coming here for more than 6 months, sometimes even a year, and I still haven't seen them make one single phone call. You know what that tells me about them that's different than what tells me about you? That you're actually committed and you're actually willing to get the results. They're not. So just keep calling. This is just the beginning, but I just want you to know that." And he was right. There was this girl that every Thursday I would go, she would be there. I never saw her make one phone call, not one phone call, but she would always ask me questions. She would always ask me questions. She would be like, "Jose, so what did you tell him? Oh, how did you feel?" Like, it was always questions.
She's nervous. She wanted to see where she wanted to kind of, ask you and poke around, but she was too nervous to do it herself.
And that points me to a big, realization that I had, is that it's people are a lot of the times more afraid of the rejection than they are afraid of not being able to get the results. And I believe that I was more afraid of not getting the results and not being able to make it happen than the rejection that somebody would give me on the phone. And I thought that was the biggest mindset, switch that I saw between myself and a lot of other people. I just wasn't afraid to make the calls because I wasn't thinking about somebody rejecting me. I was more thinking about it like, okay, I'm starting off. This is going to be a benchmark to where my communication is, what I got to get better at so that I could go ahead and practice my role play. I didn't take it personal. Right. They took it personal. Their identity, for whatever reason, was mixed up with not wanting to be rejected, because rejection, the pain of rejection, maybe somewhere in their lives, they've been rejected, and the pain of being rejected caused some kind of trauma where they were afraid to get on the phone or do something that could potentially be risky. As every entrepreneur, we're all going to have to take risks. Right. So I wasn't afraid of taking that risk, because even thinking back in high school, I ran track. I remember lining up before the gun went off, right? And I always did feel some kind of butterflies in my stomach. I felt a little bit nervous. But as soon as that gun went off, right, it didn't matter. Right. It was just do your best, and whatever it is, your time's going to go up. You'll see it, and then you'll get better. If you didn't like your results, you got to train harder. So that was the mindset from the very beginning. It wasn't, oh, I don't want to get rejected because my feelings are going to get hurt. It was more like, okay, where am I at now? What do I have to do to become better? That was it.
That's it. That's a great point. And our brother Steve is on here. Desire stronger than fear. What's up, Steve? Thanks for that. That's a great point. His desire is strong, over was way above any fear factor, and others, like that young lady that you mentioned, her fear was way up here, and the desire was lower. Yours was in reverse. So, and hence you had amazing success. Talk a little bit about how that first year went, and once you got kind of rolling, you got your feet under you.
Yeah. So first 6 months, it was just total shit. Like, not shit as in I wasn't doing what I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. I was showing up, making the phone calls. A lot of the times, again, I still had the job, but then I went full time in August, right? So once I went full time in August, I started to dedicate more time to making calls. And because I dedicated more time to making calls, I started to get better with my communication. Now, 2 months after September, October, so 2 months after, I got my first listing. I got my first listing the end of September. And then 2 weeks after, I got 2 more listings. So back to back, I got like 3 listings, not including the flip that I purchased with my brother, because mind you, again, I was always educating myself on real estate. Even before I got my license, I had my earbuds in, I was listening to, podcasts, just educating myself on real estate. So once I got my money up, I was capable of taking action. But at the same time, I was also building connections, right? The story's so big, bro. There's so much into it, right? But my first year, I did 8 transactions, right? And most of those transactions were done towards the end of that year. But the reason why that happened was, and this is what people have to understand. In the first 6 months to 8 months, you're just getting started and you're developing a lot of essential skills that you do not yet have to be able to now make the sell, build the momentum, and be able to thrive in the business. When you're just brand new getting into the business, you're not going to know everything, and your skills in the business are probably not have been developed. So I don't look at those 6 to 8 months of me cold calling, door knocking, getting the cops called on me. What are you doing in this neighborhood? Convincing them that I was inviting everybody to the open house and then them letting me go, and then going back to door knocking. And that neighbor pissed off. Hey, I have a no soliciting sign in front of my door. Getting thrown out of neighborhoods and cold calling again. And somebody in the office snitching on me. Hey, so-and-so told us that you were cold calling, and these people, it was crazy. Like, it was fun. It was really fun, but it was crazy, but I did what I had to do, and my communication increased dramatically. I wouldn't be able to talk to you guys in this way or this polished if it was, back in 2018 when I just got my real estate license. So my communication improved dramatically. And I believe that it was the compound of all the work, all the effort, showing up. And mind you, when I became full-time in real estate, I was going to the office Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. sharp. And I was usually the last one to leave. I would make calls from 8 o'clock to 12, lunch from 12 to 1, any admin work that I needed from 1 to 2, and then it was either back on the phones if I didn't have appointments, or go out into the neighborhoods and door knock. It was lead generation. If I didn't have appointments, it was just lead generation. That's all it was.
Right.
And people don't understand that it was the relentless monotonous of just building those skills and just getting on the phones and being rejected over and over, setting listing appointments, the listing appointments being canceled or postponed, going to the listing appointments, finally, my first appointment, getting thrown out the house, saying, listen, we're going to go with somebody else. And that happening 2 to 3 more times before I finally get my first listing. It's just not backing down and never quitting, and just keep moving forward no matter what happens, and having that belief in yourself that, listen, I know that I'm going to be able to make it. What did I do wrong? And another thing I want to go ahead and say, this is something that I'm actually very big on, and that's self-analysis. Being able to self-analyze yourself is huge. One of the things that I've done from the very beginning since I started this journey in real estate is journaling. I've been journaling for a very long time.
What has that done for you? Talk about that a little
bit. Man, it's amazing, bro. It's amazing. I recommend it for everybody, because the first thing that I'll say is you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of the times the mistakes that you're making could be unconscious. So every time that I journal and I reflect throughout my day, or I listen to my phone calls, I reflect on my strengths, I reflect on my weaknesses. I look back at certain videos that I recorded at the time, because I did start recording some videos and posting them. I would look at, okay, for example, I started role playing and my coach tells me, Jose, you're saying a lot of filler words. Notice I haven't been saying many filler words. Filler words are that it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. How did I get to this point? It was like, Jose, listen, you're going to have to get better with your communication, eliminate all filler words. Okay, so I started to eliminate all filler words. So I ended up now being more conscious that I was utilizing filler words, whereas before I wasn't as conscious. I was just communicating randomly without knowing. So then I became more conscious. Okay, I keep using filler words. I was looking back at my videos, hearing my audio. All right, Jose, you got to be a little bit more conscious. Instead of using filler words, it's okay to pause. If you can't think of the next thing that you're going to say, just pause for a second. It's okay. And that's exactly what I started doing. Sometimes I would pause for like 10 seconds because I couldn't think of what the fuck I was going to say. But if that was what I had to go through to be able to eliminate filler words completely and be more natural at communicating without filler words, so be it. You know, so journaling has helped me become more conscious of my mistakes, reflect more on my strengths, on my weaknesses, on the things that I have to work on. If there was something that I didn't like that I did that day, I would write it down. If it's something that I did like that day, I would write it down. I would reflect on my goals. It kept me on my toes. It always kept my goals in front of me and the things that I wanted, my aspirations. So it never allowed me to slack. And even still to this day, it's something that I still implement.
Wow.
So it works.
Awesome. When do you journal? Early, first thing in the morning or in the evening?
Yeah, first thing in the morning. Usually it's first thing in the morning.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, G, thank you for, we're wrapping up here. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Jose is a very talented G. Talk a little bit about the other things you're doing right now in real estate.
Yeah, so let me catch everybody up to speed. So my first year I did 8 transactions. Second year I did 16 transactions. That was the first year that I broke 6 figures. I sold over $6 million worth of real estate. And then most of my attention went towards investing. And now my brother and I are holding on to a $10 million portfolio in real estate units. We have about 30 units currently, including the 2 houses that are here. Massive houses, I'm very proud to say. It wasn't easy. So yeah, it's been quite of a journey. And now we're mainly just focused on acquiring more commercial property. If anybody knows of any other, commercial real estate that's being sold that needs a lot of work.
Just so they know, some of these may not know, some viewers may not know, where you based, where you filter at, which states?
Yeah, so I live in Rockland County. Some of you guys may not know where
Rockland County is. That's far.
But Rockland County, maybe some of you guys are familiar with Bear Mountain. It's a national state park. I literally live on Bear Mountain. So this is where I'm based out of. New Jersey is my backyard. New Jersey is actually closer to me than the city. So I mainly invest in New Jersey. Those are, mainly where my real estate is. But again, I'm not closing anything off. If you guys ever have a deal in Texas or anything that you're working on, anything you guys want to, have me look over, I'm definitely open to investing wherever the numbers work, because numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So yeah, that's a little bit more of what I'm up to these days.
Awesome.
With real estate.
You're doing amazing things. So Jake, what's up, Jake? He had a question. Was there any friction when you started scaling up? You mean scaling up his portfolio, I guess? That's what you mean?
Yeah, I can answer that. Absolutely. I don't know about what you mean with friction, but what I will say is that one of the things that I started to realize is that scaling is a completely different skill set than, selling and starting off when it's just you, versus when you first hire a VA to make calls for you, and now you're in the position of training, recruiting, and being more the visionary, holding your team accountable, letting them make the mistakes so that you can go ahead and help them fix it, so that now you can build the systems. Again, building systems is another thing. Building systems is a huge part of scaling. So it was challenging. It was something that was challenging, because the way that I can describe it is I was at the top of my field at being, let's say, for example, a single real estate agent, to now having to start from square one in a completely different skill set, because scaling is a different skill set. So, but I'm happy that I started as early as I did, because the sooner that you start, the sooner that you'll be able to face those challenges and overcome them. And that's with anything and everything. Again, you may be just starting off with becoming an entrepreneur, or maybe getting your real estate license, or maybe starting your online coaching program, or whatever it is that you're doing. However, the first thing that I could recommend to everybody is the sooner that you start, the better, because you're allowing yourself more time to make the mistakes while you can, because the world is going to keep going and times are just going to keep getting harder, because you're going to have more responsibility accrue over time. So it's always better to start now with whatever it is that you're doing. So that's something that I can definitely take, you know, from scaling and from making that move to, okay, I've done great, you know, as a solo agent. Now it's time to kind of bring a team in and see what I can do bigger, because that's obviously where the money's made. So yeah.
Mellow MacGyver asked, when you got your real estate license, how long did it take to make your first sale? I think you mentioned that. I think a few months, right?
Yeah, about 9 months. About 9 months. It took me three months to get my real estate license, and then it took me another, I want to say, 7 to 8 months to get my first sale. So it was around there.
That's part of the process. Yeah, I remember when I got started, just like you said, you put in the work. When I started as an agent, just knocking on doors, just grinding, taking a lot of photos. 6 weeks in, got that first deal in, and then snowballed, right? That now it's like, okay, you put in the work, you planted the seeds, now you get the sunshine, right? Now you start bearing fruit. So and that's with anything. We're talking real estate. It could be anything.
Yeah, if I may, brother, I would like to plug one of the videos that I recorded a long time ago on YouTube. If anybody is interested, you could see the video. It was made, I don't know if it was 2019 or 2018, but it was a really long time ago. I had short hair. That was around the time where I just got my license. If anybody's interested in watching, I believe I called it A Day in a Life of a Real Estate Agent. And I've documented, you know, part of my journey. So if anybody wants to watch that, it's exactly what I'm saying here. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. And I'm only saying this because, especially nowadays, everybody with their TikToks and, you know, so focused on all the instant gratification, 7-second clips. And, you know, it's crucial for everybody to understand that the hard work cannot be avoided, no matter what. It doesn't matter what industry you're going to go into. You cannot avoid the work. The work always has to get done. And if you try to take the easy way, if you try to take a shortcut, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And I know, because I've tried. Oh, you know what? This thing seems, you know, like it could be lucrative. Somebody sent me this in the DMs, and maybe I could get into this business. But all that ever did for me thinking, oh, you know, get some quick cash, was just distract me from my mission and set me back even further. So take it from me. Again, I'm still relatively young. However, it's something that I've noticed, you know, within myself, because I could have been a lot further if I didn't take, you know, if I didn't get sidetracked with certain things as I was coming up. And it happens to all of us. Yeah. Happens to all of us with certain things, whether it's a bad partnership, it could be anything, right? But what I could say is if somebody's telling you an easier route, be a little bit skeptical about it and take it with a grain of salt, because it's never as easy as it sounds. Right. It's never as easy as it sounds, and there's always a price to pay. Nothing's ever free.
I was going to ask you, well, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you, kind of finish off with a few words of wisdom, but I think that right there, those are some major gems that you dropped for everybody. You know, I want to thank everyone on here that joined us and took part in the discussion. Thank you, Michael. Glad you got something valuable out of it. That's what it's about. Jose, you know, anything you want to share in closing? Obviously, if you haven't already, make sure you follow Jose. This guy's just a tremendous professional, you know, a growing expert in his field, realtor, investor, developer too, just doing amazing things. Like I said, you know, you're licensed in New York and Jersey, right?
That is correct.
And you have your own you have your own construction company. You know, you have a lot of different resources, a lot of different people that you know. You have a growing network, so you're just an amazing young man. You're getting a third? You're going to be licensed in a third state, or is that still happening?
Well, Not yet, not yet. I thought about getting licensed in Connecticut because it's a reciprocal state and it's not a big deal to do it. I think I just have to apply. However, right now with everything that I'm doing and running the operation, I want to make sure that I'm dedicating the time that I need to be able to, you know, grow and scale smoothly, and then eventually we'll open up to a new marketplace for sure.
Awesome. So Jose, thank you, brother, for joining us. This is great. Geez, everybody that joined us, appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And until the next one. I don't know. I can't tell you when the next episode of G Live is going to be, but you'll know when we post it. You know what I mean? So have a great evening. Jose, thanks for your time, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
You got it.